Hello, everybody. We're with Michael Stanisci
Yes.
from LexHive. We're really happy to have you on our social media from IMD. We are here in the beautiful Puerto Rico and happy to share some insights on the mass tort marketing.
So excited. This is great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you for having me.
Well, we couldn't do it without you. I mean, we follow up all your postings. We know that you have a big mass of people following you. So we wanted to learn from the best.
Well, I appreciate that.
What would be, I mean, your top insights on this industry? Can you share with our audience on how can a firm get the best objectives on marketing?
Sure. I mean, that's a great question. Basically, after doing this about 20 years, I'm about two
Wow.
decades in. Yeah, just a shy under 2 decades in. There's a lot of wisdom in bruising, right? So learn fast, fail fast, grow from failures and learn from that. Essentially, I would say the best thing you can do when you're looking for a marketing company is ask them questions like, are they doing their own advertising? If they are buying from other vendors and other affiliates, who are they working with? You want to kind of inspect what you expect, meaning you want to protect your bar card. They are temporary agents of your firms. You want to make sure that they're doing everything compliantly. They're doing TCPA compliance, they're CIPA compliant, they're actually following all the right guidelines so your firm is not going to be at risk against a judge. The second part of that would be quality, right? And you guys crush it in this situation.
Thanks.
So basically it's finding the right people who actually need a lawyer, right? So it's people who fit the right injury profiles, the right adverse events, and they're actually going to be matched to a law firm to help them or have a network to help them, like some sort of co-counsel arrangement.
Correct.
And the last part, the third part of that would be just to make sure that every step of the way, there's someone who's trauma informed or someone who's actually going to be empathetic to that claimant. Because these are survivors of abuse, and a lot of times institutional sex abuse. These are victims of a product that they trusted. You know, I was trying to straighten my hair, and next thing you know, I had developed uterine cancer. Horrible effects and injuries that could have been avoided if a company just, didn't put profits over people in that very moment, that critical moment.
Correct.
And so if you have a marketing agency or a company that's actually going to hold those three things pretty strictly and make sure that they're going to protect the law firm and protect the claimant, then you're golden.
Amazing, Mike. So on those 20 years of experience, what can you say for law firms? I mean, the natural step probably for them is, I'll do it by myself.
Yeah.
They learn through the process. And what's the right time when they say, I need some professional help or some additional help on my marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And a lot of times I want law firms to feel empowered in that process, not just in selecting the right partner, but in actually doing some of the work themselves. And they should absolutely start posting on social media, writing their own content for their websites, putting things out there, doing your own independent research. When it comes to actually advertising, though, and putting money into Facebook, Meta, deploying capital into TikTok and promoted videos, you can do it yourself. Just have a little bit of guidance and some research behind it, where you either work with someone like myself or you, or hire someone internally who can actually do that, because there are some really important factors you don't want to mess up. Like, for instance, the pixeling on Meta. You want to understand what that means. You're going to lose a little bit in the beginning to get trusted. You're going to have to do a good feedback loop. There are a lot of different nuances to marketing that are not rocket surgery. So anyone can really kind of figure it out. But you do want to leverage someone who's actually done this for a long period of time. Someone who can actually guide you through that process. And that's something you do phenomenally well. So I would absolutely encourage every lawyer to say, hey, look, I'm going to do my own content, leverage all the free stuff. And then when it comes to the paid, just make sure you get some guidance.
Correct. Awesome. So now let's turn into the case generation side of the business.
Yeah.
In this equation where you have somebody affected in any tort, which is sometimes very sensitive, and you need to collect those cases or get a plaintiff fulfilled. Beneath all the options available, what is the right choice to do for a law firm?
So a right choice for the law firm to figure out which torts to get into or like when to do that. How do you figure out which tort is next for you?
Exactly.
Okay. So there are a couple different factors I would go into. First, you want to look at financial viability of the defendant. Right off the bat, can defendant actually withstand a lawsuit? That usually goes hand in hand with if it was a device, did it go blockbuster, or a drug that went blockbuster? Did it actually have a high plaintiff numerosity? Plaintiff numerosity is number two. How many people are actually impacted, right? So you want to look at the actual, pool. If there's 5 people in the entire country of the United States, and you're trying to chase those 5 individuals, the chances are really low. And not only that, it's very, very expensive, right? But if you have 500,000, now the economics flip. So plaintiff numerosity is number one. Scientific viability. You really want to make sure that the science behind the connection of the torts, of the actual device hurting the individual. Did this Olympus scope cause sepsis? Did this great example of this would be the hair relaxer we just talked about for a moment before. There's an NIH study that came out, right? Do I look at this NIH study? Do I see a 2 times plus factor for uterine cancer in a pool of 40,000 potential black women? Now that looks like it might be a good, strong correlation. You want to paint the picture of strong correlation, positive correlation between the actual product or service and the injury. Then you want to look at other factors like, okay, where would the venue be, right? Where would the MDL be consolidated? What are some of the areas? You want to look at some other pieces like, time value of money. Is this a new project, a new tort, or is this going on already? If it's something new, do I have to fight preemption? Do I have to fight all the different pieces that actually go into building Daubert, right? Do I have to prove the scientific viability, or are we post Daubert? So when you get in early, good example of this is risk profile. Get in early. That is a high risk, high reward. Low cost for acquisition, but you're starting this litigation.
Correct.
And when you get in late, it's a lower risk. So you get a lower risk, but the reward is also lower than too, just because you're coming in, everything's proven up, but then you have a situation where it's just going to be, then you have a situation where in a late stage that your time is going to be shorter, probably resolving soon. You're getting in lower risk, but the cost per acquisition is higher.
Interesting. Yeah. So now enters into the equation the longevity of the tort, correct?
Yeah.
Which sometimes that's not very considered in the variables. It should be that
a lot of people stopped considering that, and that's a big problem, right? You have to really be okay with, if you're starting out a tort, it's a brand new litigation, it's never been done before, you should factor in it could take 7 to 10 years. If you're coming in late, even if you're coming in at the final hours, a lot of times that is 6 months, 12 months, 18 months until resolution. And then factor in a whole nother year for the actual payment in your mailbox.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that the claimants are going to be aware of this. You're going to be aware of this. All the expectations are set. It's going to be a battle. You're fighting against some of the biggest corporations in the world, and you have to be ready for that fight.
Definitely. What a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a fun challenge.
Now tell us a little bit about LexHive. For example, if there's a new tort, where did you start? I mean, you don't have a trail already constructed. But how did you help law firms in that unknown scenario of a new tort?
So if it's something like institutional sex abuse, every one of those cases are very individual. They're different stories. They're different, landscaped and corporations. In those situations, we have a playbook that can be attached to different areas, and we have to just still reinvent and learn. It's almost like starting up a new industry, but you can kind of use a lot of the same attributes from previous campaigns. If it's a tort, like if it's like a pharmaceutical, medical device, an environmental law, you can apply those same principles, but oftentimes you have to start up a brand new kind of campaign. It's a lot of discovery in the very beginning. It's a lot of figuring out who the audiences are going to be, the lookalike audiences, going back and forth with, if that's digital. If you're going traditional, you want to make sure you have the right areas. If you're doing television commercials, radio ads, am I advertising in the right spots to meet the right people who are looking for the right attorney? And all of those things are factored in when you or I are actually going in there and saying, hey, as LexHive, as IMG, I'm going to take, be trusted with a whole lot of money from the law firm. Sometimes it's a couple 100,000, sometimes it's a couple million, right? And they're saying, hey, I need clients. I need you to not mess this up.
Correct.
And we go in there with a lot of care to ensure that we're using data, facts, stats, ensuring that everything is compliant and we're acquiring the right people. So sometimes we can use the same principles from previous campaigns. You go from talcum powder to hair relaxer. There's some overlap sometimes where you can go, okay, communities can be the same. We can kind of go in there. We can do some audiences, some different age values and everything like that. And then sometimes you have a radically different demographic and you have to figure it out as you go. And a lot of times we play our own capital first to ensure that we actually can do a good job.
That's amazing because, research is something that today is a must, right?
Yeah.
The information may be there, but the important is who knows how to find it and where to find it, right?
Yeah. You have to diagnose the problem. A lot of times you're doing a lot of scientific research. You're doing research on where was this prescribed the most? Where was this procedure done the most? Following water channels and water tables and figuring out, okay, did that watershed go down and where did it follow? And let's advertise there. So a lot of times it's a tremendous amount of research.
Great information, Mike. Thanks a lot for sharing. Now we would like to know more about LexHive.
Sure.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so LexHive just rebranded from a company called Demand Lane. Same people, same company. Been in business around 4 years. Social Security disability, mass torts, institutional sex abuse. We have roughly around 80, just under 90 people or so across 4 different countries. All of it 100% vertically integrated. So every one of those individuals are employees. They're not actually outsourced, okay?
Contractor.
So just like you guys do. Everyone's an employee. And so we've been doing mass torts for pharmaceutical, medical device, environmental law, involving in the MDL versions of institutional sex abuse, but also the single event versions and the smaller consolidated versions, like women's prisons and the GMVA in New York. All of these different aspects are just kind of drawn together, and we do it on a national scale. We can do it microscopically. We've actually gone against one high school before. So we're happy to go as zoomed in, as zoomed out as actually makes sense. Yeah.
And if you mind me asking, what are those 4 countries that where you are spread out?
Oh, we have some incredible, talented people who are able to do things that sometimes the U.S., they're just not there, right? So we have a lot of developers who are exceptional, world leaders at AI, right? And so we're using that to help with our research, to escalate some of our processes, to make our decision making a little bit more informed and faster, to move with alacrity, right? We still want to have human-based decisions and run as humans, but we have a very large AI team that helps just channel everything that we do and be focused. We record every one of our internal meetings, for instance. And then we have AI go through and say, how can we have made this more effective? How can we have made this more focused and addressing the task? Did we address the tasks? And then just in general, taking notes for us, right? So I do that on a lot of my phone calls. If someone says they don't want to be recorded, I always ask them first. They let me know. But if they are, we have different layers of AI that come in and will actually listen to our call, and they'll tell me and the law firm, the client, what we could have done better and what was there and what we could be focused on.
Wow.
It's amazing, note taking and everything. So we have that kind of staff, right? You only get that in certain areas of the country, but when you go globally, there's plenty of people, plenty of great talent that's just untapped. And you guys know better than anyone that the United States is great at a lot of things. We're not all things to all people, and sometimes it takes global talent to come in and say, I have fresh ideas. I can help improve some of these processes, and I know I can help you better than anyone else. And that's what
Definitely,
we
yeah.
do. Yeah.
I have the small piece of the puzzle that can help you complete the frame, right?
Yeah, and so we mix up all four of those countries. It makes for great cultural diversity, great diversity of ideas. We get fresh ideas all the time. It's incredible.
So again, listening is very important part of all the
Yes.
processes, right?
Yes, yeah. We want to be able to be an open culture where everyone can have a good idea, they can own that idea, and anyone can be the next, big innovator in our company.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
Oh, well, I think there's no more to say at this time. Hope to see you in the next conferences.
I will be there. I will be there. I hope to see you as well, and I know I will.
Definitely.
I thank you for having me on your show and having me around.
Thank you for this time. And everybody, Michael Stanisci, LexHive.